Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily Current Affair Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 9th August 2025. Displayed here are the list of topics that we will be discussing today. The first topic, flash flood, because we know that the Uttarakhand district recently experienced a flash flood, and in this incident nearly 2 villages got affected, and now the ISRO and the Remote Sensing Center of India is conducting post-disaster study here. And the next topic is Chickungunya, because according to the recent report from the BMC, that is Bombay Medical College, Department of Epidemiology and Public Health, there is a surge of Chickungunya infection in the city, and the overall infection trend in the state is also increasing comparing with the last year. And the next is the school education issues, because we can see that now the India is moving forward with the Viksit Bharat 2047, but the education system in India is facing a lot of issues. We will be discussing what are those issues and what can be done and what are the initiatives taken so far by the government of India. And the next topic is Yemen and International Organization for Migration, because we can see that the Horn of Africa to Yemen. So this route is regularly used by the migrants from the African states to migrate to the West Asia, but in most cases it will end up in accidents, or sometimes the people will end up in the wrong hands. So in this background, we will be discussing the basics about the International Organization for Migration, and also recently, that is on August 3rd, there was an accident in the Gulf of Aden, so we'll be discussing that also. And the next article is about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban 2.0, because recently the Andhra Pradesh state did not submit any report regarding the affordable housing project to the Union Ministry for Urban Affairs to get the benefit under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana 2.0. So in this background, let us begin our discussion with the first article. And before getting the discussion, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time update from Shankar IAS Academy. ISRO assesses thoroughly damage post-flash flood. The article is taken from The Hindu. So we know that on August 5th, 2025, around afternoon, the Darali and the Harsil villages of Uttarakhand district in the state of Uttarakhand experienced a catastrophic flash flood, and followed by this, the entire region got submerged under the debris. And now the ISRO and the National Remote Sensing Center is carrying out a post-disaster study to understand the intensity of the disaster and also for recovering the region, and they are using the Cartosat for conducting the post-disaster study. So coming to the major findings from the ISRO, so we can see that first is the widened stream channels and altered river morphology, and the second is the deposition in the shape of fan and deposition of large scale debris. So we can see that this was the region before the flash flood, and this is the region after the flash flood. So here you can see the Darli village. So this entire region got submerged by the debris deposited from the Chickungunya river. So coming to the overview about the disaster. So the disaster, you can see that the Bhagirathi river is flowing through here, and the Chickungunya river, and this river carried a large amount of debris and materials from the mountain and deposited into the Bhagirathi river. As a part, the entire Darli village got submerged under the debris. So this is the overview about the disaster. And coming to the other findings, first is the partial or complete destruction of the structures, and the next is the increasing vulnerability of the Himalayan settlements to extreme events. So we can see that the study found that the region is becoming more and more vulnerable to extreme events like flash flood and landslides and all. So you can see that in 2013, the Kedarnath flood was a major disaster in the state of Uttarakhand, and last year in 2024, the Joshimath subsidence, land subsidence, was a major concern, and now the flash flood in the Darli village. So you can see that the region is becoming more and more vulnerable to many natural disasters, and now the satellite data is using for rescue operations and restoring the connectivity to this region. And coming to the flash flood. So what is meant by flash flood? Flash flood is a rapid and intense flooding event, typically occurs in the region within 3 to 6 hours, and in most time it is extremely localized, and the water flow will have high velocity, and usually there will be no warning time, or sometimes the warning time will be very minimal. Therefore the escaping from the flash flood is very difficult. And you can see that last year the landslide in the Wayanad, it happened in the midnight, and within few minutes the entire region was devastated by the river. And coming to the causes behind the flash flood, first is the natural causes, that includes the cloudburst. So we can see that cloudburst means intense rainfall over a particular region. For example, more specifically, we can say that if a rainfall is exceeding 100 millimeter per hour in a particular region, then that can be considered as cloudburst. And the next is the intense short duration rainfall. For example, during the time of western disturbance, due to the influence of the western disturbance in the winter time, the Delhi and the northwestern part of India will experience intense rainfall. And this year, you have to note that the western disturbance and its associated rainfall happened in the summer, not in winter. And the next is the glacial lake outburst. So glacial lake outburst, when the moraine dam of the glacial lake when it breaks, it releases large amount of water, resulting in the flooding of the surrounding area. And the next is a sudden dam breach or landslide. For example, the landslide was the major triggering factor behind the flash flood in the Wayanad last year. And coming to the anthropogenic reasons, first is the unplanned urbanization. For example, encroachment of the river floodplains. So we can see that mostly the river will be flooding within the in this area. Sometimes this surrounding area is known as floodplain. So whenever there is a overflow of the water due to monsoon or due to heavy rainfall or due to melting of the glacier, the water will be spilled into the surrounding region, and this region will experience flash flood. Therefore, the encroachment of the floodplains is one of the major reasons behind the experience of flash flood. And the next is the deforestation and the loss of vegetation cover. We can see that as a part of urbanization, large scale of forests will be removed. When the vegetation is removed, the region will become more vulnerable to erosion. The more erosion, the more instability. The region will become more unstable, and sometimes landfall will happen or flash flood like events will happen. And the next is the poor drainage system in the hilly terrain. So we can see that if you take the case of Joshimath itself, the region it is constructed in an unplanned manner. That means without proper drainage system and all. So this will make the region more vulnerable to saturation. As a part of saturation, the region can experience landslide or subsidence or sometimes flash flood. And coming to the Himalayan vulnerability, so we can see that if you go back to the time, we can see that the Himalayan region was a result of collision between the plates, right? The Eurasian plate collided with the Indian plate around 30 million years ago. That was the reason behind the formation of the Himalayan region. And you can see that this region has it is made up of the sediments from the Tethys Sea. So this Tethyan sediments is more vulnerable to saturation, and that is why this young-fold mountains, that is the the Himalayan mountains, are classified as young-fold mountains. They formed around 30 million years ago. That is why they are called young mountains. So this young-fold mountains are highly vulnerable because of the sediments are highly vulnerable to saturation. So that makes this region entirely unstable. And the next is the presence of glaciers. We can see that sometimes when there is a thawing of the glacier, or sometimes due to that earthquake or some events can trigger the glacial lake outburst, which can make the region even more vulnerable to disaster. And the next is the narrow river valley and high elevation. So if you take the course of river, we can divide them into three. Upper course, middle course, and the lower course, right? So in the upper course, the velocity of the water will be very high, and you can take that in the case of Himalaya, the region is very vulnerable. That means the land is very unstable, therefore it is more vulnerable to abrasion. So as a result of the abrasion by the high velocity water, the region will become even more vulnerable to events like landslide and mud flow and all. And the next is the climate change induced increased extreme rainfall events. So we can see that whenever there is a temperature when the temperature increases, the capacity of the atmosphere to hold water will also increase. When it reaches the dew point or the saturation point, more rainfall will happen, and this can result into cloudburst like events. And coming to the mitigation measures, what can be done, how we can address this issue? First is the strengthening the early warning system, including establishment of Doppler radars. Doppler radars are very good at monitoring the weather changes and the weather pattern. The next is satellite monitoring, like the case of using the Cartosat series satellite or Indian national satellite system. So this Indian national satellite system is a geostationary satellite system which is used for broadcasting communication and even for weather forecasting and all. So we can strengthen the early warning system to give more warning to the people, and analyzing the data. For example, now the ISRO and the remote sensing center is conducting the study. So they found the vulnerability of the Himalayan settlements to disasters. So in the future, we have to plan according to the data provided by the institutions like IMT, and the National Remote Sensing Center and all. And the next is structural measures. For example, construction of check dams and retention walls. For example, the case of Japan, they have walls, that can work with the minimal power, and they have enough strength to, deal with the tsunamis. And the next is strengthening of river embankments and river training work. So we can see that the restoration of the embankment is very important, because the embankments can prevent the overflow of the water, and the save and it can save the people inhabited in our region, near to the region of floodplains. And coming to the non-structural measures, that includes going for afforestation, because we can see that the afforestation, the vegetation cover, can increase the strength of the region and can give more stability to the region. The next is strengthening the zoning regulation in hazard prone area. For example, we can see that if you take the Himalayan region, these regions are highly vulnerable to earthquake, landslide, type of event. So therefore we have to avoid the huge constructions or mining activities or any other human activities that can make the region more vulnerable to disasters. And the next is tracing the real-time remote sensing data and alerting the people. So we can see that alerting the people is very important, especially in the time of flash flood. It is a sudden event, therefore understanding the region is very important. And now we launched the NISAR, right? NISAR, NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar. So we can expect in the future this type of highly advanced technologies can give a more accurate picture about the changes in the topography. And the next is a community-based disaster preparedness. So we can we know that the people will know their environment more than technology or the outsiders. Therefore, engaging with the people is also very important to save their life. For that, we can organize drills, local awareness programs and all. So this will save a lot of life. And the next is Cartosat 2S. So we know that currently the remote sensing center and the ISRO, they are using the image from the Cartosat 2S for studying the disaster hit regions of Uttarakhand district, and it's a part of the satellite. So if you take the name itself, you can see that Cartosat. Carto means mapping, and sat is for satellite. So it is a series of India's high resolution earth observation satellites, and you can see that it's a series, means it is launching since 2007, and many satellites got decommissioned after that, and finally in 2019 Cartosat 3 was launched by India. And if you take the resolution of the Cartosat 3, it comes around 0.25 meter. So the image has that much resolution. And coming to the purpose, you can see that it is used for cartographic applications, for example mapping, survey and all. And it also used for disaster assessment, like in the case of Uttarakhand. And the next is it is used for urban planning and also for infrastructure monitoring. So this is the overview about the Cartosat satellite. And the last one, that is Cartosat 3, was launched in 2019, and it has a resolution of 0.25 meter. So with this, we will move to the next article. Chickungunya surge in Mumbai. Here is why you should avoid self-medication. The article is taken from the Indian Express. So we know that this is monsoon time, and the city of Mumbai is experiencing a surge of Chickungunya infection. According to the recent data from the Bombay Medical College Department for Epidemiology and Public Health, they are saying that last year, between January and July, the total cases of Chickungunya reported in the city was 46. But this year, it is 265. And if you take the overall trend in the state itself, you can see that there is a slight increase in the total infection rate. Because in 2024, the total cases reported in the same period was 1,189. But this year, it is 1,512. So you can see that in the city and in the state, there is an increase of Chickungunya infection. And there are a lot of studies are still going on related to the increase in the surge. For example, we know that this is the monsoon time, and during the time of monsoon, the density of the vectors, that is the density of the Aedes aegypti and Aedes mosquitoes, will increase, and that can result into spreading of the infection. And at the same time, the doctors and the researchers are also they are assuming that this can be a part of the cyclical nature of the Chickungunya infection. For example, the Chickungunya infection, the rate of the infection can increase in a particular period in a particular area, but for some time it will remain silent. Sometimes the silence can go up to 6 months, or sometimes even up to 20 years. But after 20 years or after this interval time, the cases will again surge. Therefore, we are also assuming that this can be a part of the cyclical nature or the seasonal nature of the Chickungunya infection. So in this background, we have to understand some basics about the Chickungunya. So coming to the Chickungunya, it's a viral disease caused by the Chickungunya virus, and it is mostly present in the people, and the people will be infected by this virus during the time of epidemics or in any type of season. And later this Aedes mosquitoes, that means the Aedes aegypti and the Aedes albopictus, they will transmit the virus from one person to another person, and mostly this biting of the mosquito will happen in the daytime, and the same genus is the reason behind the spread of Zika virus and dengue fever. So coming to the diagram, we can see that suppose this person is infected, then this Aedes aegypti will this uninfected Aedes aegypti will bite this person, and the infected person will transmit the chikungunya infection from their body to the mosquito. Now the mosquito is infected, and this infected mosquito will bite this person, and this person another mosquito will bite this person, and the infection will be transmitted to that mosquito, and that mosquito will bite another person. So this is how the transmission cycle of the chikungunya is working. So the uninfected Aedes mosquito will bite an infected person, and the mosquito will be infected, and that infected mosquito will infect another person. So this is how the transmission cycle of the mosquito is the chikungunya is working. And coming to the symptoms, so we know that the death from the chikungunya is very rare, but the people, especially the old age people, as well as the pregnant ladies, as well as the newborn kids, can experience severe symptoms. For example, high fever, joint pain, which can last for weeks or months, headache, muscle pain, rashes across the body, and fatigueness and dizziness. So these are the major symptoms associated with the chikungunya. So coming to the treatment, there is no specific antiviral drug for treating the chikungunya. There are certain drugs which are approved, but they are not widely in use, and currently we are following the treatment which can reduce the severity of the symptoms. So coming to the effective method to deal with the chikungunya is nothing but prevention and control, that is vector controlling, especially in the post-monsoon time. We know that in the post-monsoon time the density of the vectors will increase because of stagnation of water, especially in the urban area. Therefore, eliminating the mosquito breeding sites, that means stagnant water, through eliminating these breeding sites, we can reduce the vector density, and therefore we can reduce the transmission rate also. And the next includes general precautions like using insect repellents, using nets and full sleeve clothing to prevent the mosquito bite. So these are the methods that we can use to prevent the spread of from getting the infection of chikungunya. So with this, we will move to the next topic. For a successful digital revolution, India needs to fix the institutional neglect plaguing our school system. The article is taken from the Indian Express. So we know that now the nation is moving with a vision of Vikasit Bharat, which is aiming to transform the country into developed in all aspects by 2047. But our education system is facing certain problems. So let's discuss the issues one by one. First major issue is the lack of basic facilities. According to the Unified District Information System for Education Plus, according to the data between 2020 to 23, 20% of the schools in India lacks functional toilets, and 25% of the school lacks electricity facility. And the next major issue is the poor maintenance. For example, 2 weeks ago in Jalwara district of Rajasthan, a roof of a school collapsed, and that resulted in the death of 7 kids, and nearly 21 kids got severely injured. And one day ago, a similar incident took place in the Thrissur district of Kerala, but fortunately the school was on leave that day because of heavy rainfall. So these type of issues are persisting, and that is raising a significant concern about the safety of the students in the school. And the next is the inadequate learning resources, like lack of accessibility of library and other digital infrastructure. And the next major issue is the vacancies of teachers. For example, there is a report called the YES report. Okay, this report was published under the collaboration of Confederation of Indian Industry and Deloitte. So they published a report in 2021-22. So according to the report from the 2021 and 22, the total that is the average pupil to teacher ratio is in India is currently standing at 23:1. That means for every 23 students there is only one teacher. But at the same time, if you take the case of Ladakh, it is 7:1. It is better. But if you go to other states like Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, the ratio is 47:1. That is, for every 47 children, there is only one teacher. So this is showing the disparity existing regarding the availability of teachers in India. And at the same time, you can see that even after having high population, even after having this much youth population, even after having nearly 11 crore educators in India, the UP school and the LP government schools are struggling to fulfill the vacancies of teachers. And the next is the exclusion of children with the special needs. When there is a safety concern, when there is a lack of infrastructure, when there is a lack of learning resources, the parents of the children with the special needs will hesitate to send them to school. And we can see that especially in the schools of rural and remote area, it lacks a lot of basic infrastructure facilities like escalators or elevators. So this will prevent the accessibility to education to the children with the special needs. And coming to the next major issue is the digital divide in the schools. That includes limited access to the devices, poor internet connectivity, particularly in the rural and remote areas, rural urban gap. So we can see that in the urban area, the connectivity will be they will be getting high speed internet, while in the rural area they may not be getting it. And at the same time, digital illiteracy is persisting in the rural area. Not only the children, even the adult population also do not have a sufficient knowledge about the digital devices and its usage. And the next is the gender and the socio-economic barriers. For example, if you take the case of the COVID-19 issue itself, you can see that the registration for the vaccination was done through digital process only. But if you take the case of Asia, not just in India, across Asia, the most of the women did not register through online. So this is showing how the digital divide is persisting between the genders. And coming to the steps taken by the government of India, you can see that first is the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, which was launched in 2018, and it is a merger of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and the Rashtriya Madhyamak Shiksha Abhiyan. And you can see that this initiative is aiming to bring holistic and good quality education across the country from the preschool to 12th standard. And the next is a PMAY-U scheme. This was launched under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative of India, and this is aiming to bring equitable digital education across India. And the next is the Digital India. So we know that it is for the complete social digital transformation of the nation. And the next is the BharatNet. So through this BharatNet initiative, this was this was aiming to connect all the 2.5 lakh panchayat in India with a high-speed internet connection. And the next is a Swayam portal. So we can see that it is the Swayam portal, and through the Swayam portal, various courses are offered to the children. So the children from school to colleges, they can access this Swayam portal and they can learn various courses, and the certificates will also be provided. And recently we know that the new education policy, or the National Education Policy 2020, which is focusing on vocational education, which is focusing on research, at the same time technical education, and also this has completely changed the 10+2 pattern into 5+3+3+4 pattern from school to college. So we can see that this is also giving equal importance to language preservation. For example, in the remote area, the medium of instruction will be in the, if that is a tribal area, then the medium of instruction will be in the tribal slang or in the tribal language only. Therefore, this will also give that much importance to language preservation. So these are the major initiatives taken by the government to promote the education in India to achieve the inclusive development. So with this, we will move to the next article. Why migrants risk the perilous Yemen Gulf route? The article is taken from The Hindu. So now, August 3rd, 2025, an Ethiopian boat carrying 154 Ethiopian migrants sunk near the Gulf of Aden. And in this incident, nearly 60 of them lost their life, and 74 of them are still missing, according to the recent report from the International Organization for Migration. And you can see that according to the report from the International Organization for Migration, this region is a corridor used by the migrants to enter into the prosperous states of West Asia. And you can see that the major motive is economic opportunity in the Arab states in the West Asia. And coming to the International Organization for Migration, so it is established in the year 1951 in Brussels, and now it is headquartered in Geneva. And coming to the UN status, it became a UN body, a UN related organization in 2016, and the major mandate of this organization includes promoting humane and orderly migration, supporting migrants' rights, and supporting the migrants during the time of emergency. And also global role includes it will handle the refugee relocation, displacement response, migrant reintegration, and also prepares statistics related to migration, because in 2024 they prepared a statistics related to the migrants who are migrating through the Sahel region of Africa. And coming to the Gulf of Aden, so you can see that the Gulf of Aden, it is located here, and this is a route regularly used by the migrants from Africa to enter into the West Asian states. But you can see that the Yemen is going through civil war for a very long time. Therefore, a state of anarchy is persisting there, and that is why in most of the cases the migrants will not reach the right hands. They will reach wrong hands, and sometimes they will end up in slavery, human trafficking, and other areas of exploitation. And coming to the key features about the Gulf of Aden, so it is location. It is located between Yemen and the Horn of Africa, and it connects the Red Sea to the Arabian Sea via Bab el Mandab. And strategic importance includes it is a key maritime route for oil shipping and migrant crossing. And the security concerns of this region includes piracy, smuggling, illegal migration, and naval patrol. So as per the recent report, comparing with the last year, there is a reduction of the illegal migrants in this region, but still it is the number is still high. And coming to the coastal areas which is sharing the border with the the Gulf of Aden includes Yemen, Djibouti, and Somalia. So here you can see Yemen is sharing the border, Djibouti and Somalia. So these are the three states sharing the border with the Gulf of Aden. And coming to the eastern migration route, so it's a migration route that is that is extending from the Horn of Africa to the Yemen. So it is one of the busiest and deadliest migration corridors in the world according to IOM. And over 60,000 migrants reached Yemen in 2024. So you can see that comparing with the 2023, there is a reduction, but still the number is high. And if you take the statistics of the last decade, you can see that over 2,000 of them are still missing. That means the migrants who left Africa did not reach that destination. We have no idea about them. So 2,000 plus people are still missing, and out of that 693 of them drowned in the sea. And the major risk faced by the migrants includes drowning, disease and starvation, exploitation and abuse by the traffickers, and lack of international rescue efforts and humanitarian support. So these are the major issues faced by the migrants who are trying to cross the the Gulf of Aden. And you can see that the Yemen is also going through the civil war for a very long time, and the condition of the Yemen is also not good. So therefore, bringing an international coordination in this region is also little bit difficult. And the only thing that we can do is monitoring this region, patrolling this region, and at the same time ensuring the progress, the socio-economic progress in the states of Horn of Africa. But that will also take some time. So with this, we will move to the next article. No affordable housing project under revamped Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban 2.0 submitted so far by Andhra Pradesh, says Union Minister. So while giving response in Lok Sabha to the Vijayawada MP, the Union Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs, Mr. Tokkan Sahu, said that the Andhra Pradesh, the state did not submit any projects, any reports regarding any housing projects under the Affordable Housing Partnership. And he also mentioned that if they are submitting the reports regarding the projects, then they are eligible. They are also eligible for assistance of 90 crore rupees under the Technology Innovation Grant, which is launched under the Pradhan Mantri Urban Awas Yojana Urban 2.0. So in this background, let us discuss more about this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban 2.0. So we can see that it is launched with a mission to bring housing for all in the country, and it will provide assistance to nearly 1 crore urban poor and middle class families, and it will be implemented. It is implemented from 1st September 2024 and it will continue for the next 5 years, and an investment of 10 lakh crore and the government subsidy of 2.30 lakh crore is also allocated for the implementation. And coming to the benefit or the impact of the scheme, you can see that it aims to benefit nearly 1 crore families across the country, and particularly focusing on bringing equity among different segments of the society, which means it includes marginalized groups like slum dwellers, ST communities, minorities, people with disabilities, and other underprivileged sections of the society. And additionally, we are also focusing groups like Safai Karmi, street vendors, artisans, Anganwadi workers, and the residents of slums and all. So they are also will receive, and they will be focused under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban 2.0. And coming to the eligibility criteria, so the people belongs to the economically weaker section or low income group, middle income groups who do not own a Pakka house anywhere in the country are eligible under the Pradhan Mantri to get benefit under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana 2.0. And coming to the income criteria, if a person belongs to the economically weaker section, then his annual income can be up to 3 lakh, and if a person belongs to low income group household, then his annual income can be between 3 to 6 lakh, and if he is from middle income group, then his annual income can be between 6 to 9 lakh. And coming to the technology and innovation, it's a sub-scheme under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana 2.0. So it facilitates adoption of modern and innovative and green technologies for faster quality housing construction. So we can see that the materials that is used for building homes should be sustainable and it should be healthy. For example, using asbestos, prolonged use of asbestos or living under asbestos for a long time can lead to problems like pulmonary issues and sometimes cancer. And therefore this scheme is also focusing on promoting use of new building materials suited for various geoclimatic zones. For example, if you are living in a desert region and if you are living in a house made up of cement brick, then it will be a help, because it will produce more heat, and supports preparation and adoption of layout designs and building plans. For example, constructing good ventilation methods for passage of air. Therefore we can reduce the dependence on electricity, and it will also give a cooling effect inside the house, and assisting cities and states in deploying disaster resistant and eco-friendly technologies for housing. So this is another major benefit under the technology and innovation sub scheme. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's current affair analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time update from Shankar IAS Academy. Thank you. Have a nice day.